Kremlin says it has not received any official information about the outcome of the Ukraine peace talks held in Geneva. Ukrainian, American, and European officials met in Switzerland on Sunday. The U.S. and Ukraine claim they have developed an updated and refined peace framework aimed at ending the nearly 4-year-old war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that important steps have been made in peace talks. He further added that more work is needed to negotiate with Russia. EU leaders are set to hold emergency talks on Ukraine during a summit in Angola later in the day. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio described the high-stakes talks as being very worthwhile, calling them probably the best the U.S. has held with Ukraine since Trump returned to power. However, neither the U.S. nor Ukraine shared details about the talks or this revised plan. It was not clear how the updated plan would handle a host of issues, including how to guarantee Ukraine's security against ongoing threats from Russia. Trump has kept up the pressure on Ukraine to reach a deal. And on Sunday, the U.S. president once again accused Ukraine of showing zero gratitude for American efforts over the war. This prompted a post from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He said Ukraine is grateful to the U.S., every American heart, and personally to President Trump for the assistance that has been saving Ukrainian lives. Trump previously set a Thursday deadline for Zelensky to accept a peace plan, but Marco Rubio said that the deadline might not be set in stone. And according to reports, Zelensky could travel to the U.S. as soon as this week to discuss the most sensitive aspects of the plan with President Trump. The initial 28-point proposal put forth by U.S. was criticized by Kyiv and allies as essentially a Russian wish list. European allies said they were not involved in crafting the plan and released a counter-proposal on Sunday. The plan drawn up by Britain, Germany, and France takes the U.S. plan as its base, but then goes through it point by point with suggested changes and also deletions. Large elements remain the same, even up to the wording of specific clauses, including that Russia would be readmitted to the G7, making it the G8 in the event of a peace deal. The counterproposal makes clear that there is currently no consensus on Ukraine joining NATO within the alliance, and addition that may have been included to alleviate any Russian fears that its neighbors could be given fast-tracked entry. A key sticking point is likely to lie in the settlement of territory. Under Trump's proposal, Russia would be given Donbas region and formal recognition of Crimea. The front lines would be frozen in other key regions, including Kherson and Zaporizhia. It would mean Zelensky would be required to cede even more Ukrainian territory than Russia currently controls. Instead, Europe suggested the negotiations on territorial swaps should start from the line of control, reducing the amount of land Putin could lay claim to. The deal also states that the size of Ukraine military is to be capped at 800,000 in peacetime, whereas an earlier version of the European plan included no cap. The U.S.-Russian proposal asked for 600,000 cap. Even with the cap, Kyiv's army, which currently stands at around 850,000, would be one of the largest in the world. One of Kyiv's red lines centers around whether it would be given strong security guarantees in the event of a future Russian invasion. Both proposals agree with the need for security guarantees to act as a deterrent to Vladimir Putin. Europe pledges for them to be robust, while America insists they will be reliable. All right. Joining us live on the broadcast is Lester Munson, Senior Fellow, National Security Institute, and co-head of the international practice at BGR Group, a leading government relations firm based in Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us on WION, and welcome back. Lester, the U.S. and Ukraine say that they have developed what they call a quote-unquote refined peace framework, but they aren't sharing the details. From your experience, what does this usually signal? Is it more room for negotiations, or are we actually seeing a serious movement towards a deal?
Well, I do think there's serious movement. We'll see, probably in the next few days, maybe in the next week or two, if they actually get close to a deal. But there's definitely a lot of activity. It involves not just President Trump and his negotiating team, which, by the way, has evolved a little bit over the last few days, but also President Zelensky, the Russians, European leaders, and also U.S. senators, particularly Republican senators, who have weighed in directly with the administration on this issue. So there's there's plenty of activity. People are these discussions in Europe and now even in the African country of Angola over what the details are of the plan are all leading up to this, what's going to happen over the next few days. Could we be very close? There's a lot of signs that we are very close to some sort of deal. The issues of NATO membership, of territorial integrity of Ukraine, and U.S. security guarantees are all appear to be on the table. There's a lot of serious issues being discussed. We'll see where this goes over the next few days. President Trump had established a Thanksgiving deadline, which is in just 3 days here in the U.S. That may be extended a little bit, but it does seem like we're at the cusp of something right now.
And does Europe's counter proposal concern you, the way it's pushing back on several U.S. points? As you mentioned, we have the issue of territory and NATO membership on the table, of course. It does keep much of America's plan in act, but how significant is this transatlantic split, and does it weaken the West's negotiation hand when it comes to dealing with Russia?
Excellent question. I actually think this is an important component of what President Trump has been doing. He's actually been pushing for European leaders to be more involved and to take more of a leadership role here. President Trump, wants to be the kind of the neutral arbiter between Kyiv and Moscow, and he wants to see the Europeans step up and do more to support the Ukrainian position. So I actually think this kind of fits nicely into what President Trump is trying to do. And if it helps Ukraine get a better deal from the Russians, then that's a terrific outcome, I think, for everyone except possibly Vladimir Putin. But I think that's kind of what President Trump has actually invited the Europeans to do. Please be active here. Do more to support Zelensky and the Ukrainians. We really need you in that position.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for that thorough analysis, Lester Munson. I look forward to speaking to you again very soon as we track this story very, very closely.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.